The day I got my acceptance letter, my cousin knelt in front of me, clutching her stomach, saying she was pregnant with my boyfriend's child, and begging me to let them be together. I could barely keep from laughing. I've been wanting to break off this engagement with that jerk. Graduating from a top university and inheriting my family's wealth to become a billionaire sounds way better. Men just slow me down from making money. After I died of overwork, I was reborn. I opened my eyes, and who do I see staring at me with those pitiful eyes? Cousin Candy in a plain white dress, pulling a large suitcase, standing at my front door. It was a month before college entrance exams. Candy was a third year, and used the excuse that our house was closer to her school to move in. "Candy, why didn't you tell Uncle you were coming? He could have picked you up," my dad said, nudging me aside as he pulled Candy inside and into my room. Rubbing my arm where Dad bumped me, I squinted my eyes. What did I do in my previous life? The memories are too vivid. Proud and unyielding, I refused to give up my room, had a huge fight with Dad, and ended up getting slapped. Because of that, my mom and Dad had a big argument, and their already shaky relationship got even worse. Not only that, soon after, Candy and my boyfriend Felix started getting cozy, angry at Candy for trying to take everything from me. I couldn't focus on school, and only thought about how to get her out of the house and away from my boyfriend. So despite being a top student all my life, I bombed my exams and only got into a community college. Later on, my parents got divorced, and I lived with my dad. Candy framed me for pushing her down the stairs, and my dad kicked me out. Candy took the $10 million dowry my dad gave and married Felix, who also came from money. I graduated but couldn't find a decent job, and ended up on a factory line, eventually dying of overwork. This time around, I gave up my room voluntarily and moved to the attic on the third floor. Not because I'm scared, but because this time, I'm seizing the chance at those exams. Past life taught me that being strong yourself is what truly counts. I've got the third floor to myself, and it's peacefully quiet. Every day, I study late into the night. I pretend not to notice Candy and Felix's sneaky antics. Finally, the exams ended, and I got into a top university with a high score. It wasn't until I held the acceptance letter that I felt at ease. I opened the attic window, letting out a deep breath. Now, it's time to settle things with Candy, Felix, and my dad. As I came downstairs, I saw Candy snuggled up to Felix, looking all shy and bashful. Seeing me, Felix pushed Candy away and came over. "Carrie, finally. You've been so busy studying lately. But now it's time to spend some quality time with me." He reached out for me. I stepped back, creating distance. "But it looks like you've already got someone keeping you company." I glanced at Candy pointedly. Her face fell for a moment, but Felix acted carefree. "Carrie, what are you talking about? Candy and I were just close because she's your cousin." My words struck Candy, her face turning pale. I, however, couldn't help but smile. Felix and I were in an arranged marriage set by our families when we were kids. That's why in my last life, I treated Felix like he was my future husband. And losing him to Candy felt like the end of the world. This time around, since I haven't been fighting it, Felix and Candy's relationship isn't as serious yet. Teaming up with Felix to make Candy suffer would be satisfying. But I won't stoop to that level. How can I break off this engagement with Felix quickly? I pondered and soon had an idea. Batting my eyes at Felix, I suggested, "Since I'm supposed to marry you someday, why don't we get hitched now?" "Married?" Candy gasped. "What's wrong, cousin? Or do you want to replace me and marry Felix?" Candy's lips quivered, unable to respond, and Felix looked awkward. Clearly, riding two boats at once isn't a thrill he's ready to give up. So I went further. "Felix, I got accepted to a top university. Your mom would be thrilled. You really got in." Felix's eyes lit up. When he realized I was serious, his face broke into a grin. "Wait here. I'm going to tell my mom right away." Felix's family made their fortune in coal mining years ago. Even though the business declined, they still had wealth and investments in other ventures. While they were rich, none were academically gifted. Felix had the highest education, having graduated high school but skipping college. For that reason, people always called them low-class wannabes. Having nothing to boast about, they flaunted what they did have. Felix's mom never passed up a chance to brag about my achievements. And now, with me getting into college, she'd probably want me to marry into the family soon. The moment Felix left, Candy couldn't hold back anymore, kneeling in front of me and clinging to her belly. Carrie, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant with Felix's baby. I knew. Felix and Candy's protection was something I managed to puncture beforehand. My words stopped her tears cold. How do you know? I just smirked and said nothing, turned on my heel, and headed upstairs. Looks like there's a big battle this afternoon. I better rest up and get ready. Bang, bang, bang. The loud knocking woke me up. Suddenly, I heard my dad's irritated voice outside the door. Locking yourself up at home. All you do is study or sleep. Do I have a pig as a child? Why can't you learn from your cousin? She gets up early every day to cook. I frowned and went straight to open the door. When my dad saw my stone-cold expression, he stopped his nagging. Then anger flashed across his face as he exclaimed, "You little brat! How dare you give me that look?" He raised his hand to smack me. I quickly dashed downstairs, leaving him empty-handed. Downstairs, Felix's parents and Felix himself were laughing heartily. Their smiles only widened when they saw me. Candy, who was serving drinks, had tears in her eyes. Looks like Felix's family doesn't know that Candy is pregnant. They thought Candy had it all together. Turns out, I'm going to have to spill the beans myself. Uncle, Aunt, I addressed Felix's mom. She caught sight of the acceptance letter in my hand, took it, studied it, and handed it to Felix's dad, then grabbed my hand. Our Carrie is amazing, Aunt loves you. When my dad came down, she excitedly told him, Felix is in his 20s, Carrie's of age too. Why not have the wedding now and do the paperwork later? Felix's family is more well off than ours. Hearing Felix's mom, my dad temporarily put away his dissatisfaction with me and forced a smile. Of course, that sounds great. Well, when do you think we should set the date? Seeing Felix's parents and my dad discussing wedding dates for Felix and me, I found it amusing. My mom was still at work and wasn't even back yet. They're blatantly ignoring her. Meanwhile, Candy was staring straight at Felix. Felix, once melted by Candy's smile, was sitting properly, ignoring her hints. Such as love against benefits. Let's plan for next month, before Carrie starts school. Sounds good to me. Just as Felix's parents and my dad eagerly agreed, I spoke up. Uncle, Aunt, I'd love to marry Felix, but... I looked at Candy with accusing eyes and spoke pitifully, but she's been seeing Felix behind my back, and is having his child. My words shocked everyone present. Carrie, you must be mistaken. She's your cousin. I wish I were mistaken. But she told me herself not long ago. My pre-planned tears finally fell, splattering down as I lowered my head and pretended to cry. Through tear-smudged eyes, I checked Candy's reaction. 3 brothers at home. Only my dad got into college and married my mom. He leveraged her family's power to start a company. But my mom is the real one in charge. My dad's more of a figurehead CEO. Even though my dad secretly helped his brothers' families, they couldn't compare to ours. Candy was always envious of me. I've laid it out. If Candy doesn't seize this chance to marry into wealth, I'll lose all respect for her. Luckily this time she didn't disappoint. Under everyone's gaze, Candy knelt before Felix's parents. Uncle, Aunt, Felix and I truly love each other. Before they could react, Felix stood up. I took precautions. How could you be pregnant? His words confirmed the issue. Felix, I don't know how it happened. Didn't you say you don't like Carrie? She's dull. And you'd break off the engagement to be with me? You also said, shut up. Felix was anxious as he slapped her. The next second, Felix's father kicked Felix in the stomach. You disgrace our family. Why are you hitting him? Felix's mom shouted. I think it's Candy who seduced him. Hit her. Grabbing Candy's hair, Felix's mom started hitting her. My dad tried to intervene, but when Felix's mom lashed out, he stepped back to avoid being scratched. Candy, unable to dodge, suddenly held her stomach. My baby, my baby. Blood trickled down her legs to the floor. Afraid of a lawsuit, Felix's mom stopped and called 911. Half an hour later, Candy was taken into an ambulance. Felix's parents, Felix, and my dad followed in a hurry. Sitting on the living room sofa, I watched them leave, a cold smile tugging at my lips. Just then, a dark look swept over me. It was my dad. He turned back, catching my smile. Instinctively, I tried to suppress my expression, but then I remembered. I'm not the same weakling from past lives. I lifted my head and smiled defiantly at him. Seeing my challenge for the first time, he was furious, seeming like he wanted to settle the score. But with the ambulance waiting, He had no choice but to leave. Shortly after the ambulance departed, my mom returned, dressed in a tailored business suit with her hair neatly pinned up. Even at 40-something, she carried herself with grace. Despite the fine lines around her eyes, her charm was undeniable. Her hair was slightly messy, showing she rushed back. "Carrie, your aunt said something happened. What's going on?" Busied by work, her tone was a bit firm, but her eyes showed deep concern. It's a shame I never noticed this concern in my past life. Back then, I never thought about whether Mom worked so hard for me. I just felt like she was always busy with work and didn't love me. I was rebellious from a young age, always going against her. When Mom left the company and divorced Dad, her only condition was to take me with her. But out of spite, not wanting to lose to Candy, I chose to stay with Dad. Finally disappointed, Mom left everything behind and moved abroad. Thinking about it makes my nose tingle. "Mom," I throw myself into her arms, holding tightly. "Mom, you finally came back." In my past life, Mom and I were rarely close. Since being reborn, we've gotten a bit closer. But compared to normal mother-daughter pairs, there's still some distance. Mom stiffens at first, then relaxes and awkwardly pats my back. "Carrie, are you upset?" "Yeah," I nod, telling her what happened today. Felix and Candy got together secretly, and now they have a kid. That's too much. Mom is furious. "I'll deal with them today. Felix's family and the entire group must answer to me." She drags me out, driving us to the hospital. When we arrive, Candy is lying weakly on the bed. Felix's parents, Felix and my dad, are in the room. The others have grim faces, but Dad is all concerned for Candy. "Candy, does it hurt? Are you hungry? Tell me if you're uncomfortable." "My baby," Candy cries, rubbing her belly. Dad's voice is softer. "The baby's fine. Just rest and don't worry about anything else." "Thank you, Uncle." Sick of listening, Mom bursts in, scoffing, "You weren't this caring with Carrie. Anyone would think Candy's not your niece, but your secret daughter." Mom speaks my unsaid thoughts. Predictably, Dad gets mad. He's always had more temper than skills, especially in front of Mom. What nonsense. I've seen this Dad many times. But this time, I sense a guilt I've never noticed before. I glance between Dad and Candy. A bold thought crosses my mind. Nonsense. Candy's shameless enough to steal Carrie's fiancé, and you're defending her. Do you even care about me and Carrie? Candy's just young, she doesn't know better. Plus, she's family, my niece. As a full-blown fight looms, I quickly grab Mom's hand. "Mom." She takes a deep breath, swallowing her anger towards Dad, then turns to Felix's parents. They stop just watching, turning serious. "In-laws, don't call me in-laws. If your son can't show restraint, this wedding's off." Before they can react, Dad rushes in. "That's such a waste. Why not have Candy replace Carrie in marrying Felix?" "No way." Felix's mom exclaims, eyes wide. "Carrie's going to a top college. Candy? A no-name school from the countryside. Felix's family won't accept such a daughter-in-law. Let Candy deal with her pregnancy, then send her back home and forget this happened. We can't let one person ruin our family's peace, right? In-laws." Felix's mom looks at my mom expectantly. Mom glances at Dad's furious face, then pats my hand comfortingly, saying slowly, "That's manageable." Felix's mom breathes a sigh of relief. "Then I'll get the doctor for the procedure." She moves to make arrangements. Candy, who was struggling to speak, suddenly leaps from bed, clinging to Felix's leg. "Felix, how can you be so cruel?" she cries, looking heartbreakingly pretty. Felix wavers. Felix's mom is furious. "Get off my son." She tugs at Candy. Just then 2 figures burst in. "Touch my daughter and I'll take you on." Candy's parents. They just found out and rushed to defend their daughter, pushing Felix's mom away in a brawl. Felix's dad joins the fray too. Candy's parents, used to farm work, easily overpower them. Seeing his parents get attacked, Felix joins in, the 6 of them brawling on the floor. I burst out laughing. My laugh catches Dad's attention. He strides over, fuming. "Carrie, you've gone too far. If it weren't for you, this wouldn't have happened." "Me? How is this my fault? Isn't it Candy who's shameless?" "Shut up. I won't." "What, does Mom have a point? Is Candy not really your niece, but your secret daughter?" Dad's face turns dark as he yells, "Nonsense. I'll teach you a lesson now." He raises his hand towards me. Mom instinctively shields me. "You wouldn't dare." "Why wouldn't I? If you stop me, I'll hit you too." "Ha." A cold voice full of mockery interrupts, coming from outside the hospital room. What a joke. Never seen a father so against his own daughter before. I turn and see a familiar yet unknown face. The teenager is sharply handsome with clear features. The cuts on his face and the blood at his mouth only add to his roguish charm. His eyes are fierce and angry. That's my high school buddy Ken. After graduation, I lost touch with most of my classmates. He looked familiar because before I got a second chance at life, I met him once. I was heading home one day after work when two guys tried to stop me. Ken showed up, driving a fancy car, and just honked his horn. Those guys were scared off immediately. I thanked Ken, and he said no need to thank me, old friend. It took me a second to dig up some memories about him from high school. I was grateful but felt awkward too. He's doing great, and here I was. I snapped back to reality, looking at his face now. He wasn't as composed as I remembered, looking a lot younger. But still good looking. What do you have to do with this? This is my family affair, you little punk. Today I'm teaching my daughter a lesson. My dad's pride was hurt by an outsider's comments. He got all worked up, ready to smack me. Mom shielded me, but his hand was still moving. He was actually going to hit Mom too. I went to stop him, but Ken's hand got there first, holding my dad's arm firmly. My dad, all angry, wanted to handle Ken too, but Ken didn't let him move an inch. They stared each other down. Ken looked relaxed, while my dad's face turned purple with rage. Eventually, medical staff noticed the commotion and rushed into the room. My dad took the chance to retract his hand and turned to look at Candy. When I turned back to thank Ken, he was already walking away. His figure looked small at the end of the long hallway. Lonely. Half an hour later, the hospital staff had managed to calm everyone down, except for my dad, who pretended to care about Candy while being indifferent. Everyone looked messed up and in a sorry state. Felix's family acted all high and mighty, chins up. Candy's parents, on the other hand, hung their heads low and looked anxious. Their biggest dream was for Candy to marry into wealth, but now they had upset the rich folks. Candy's baby has to be aborted, Felix's dad angrily declared. His mom chimed in. I'd rather die than let Candy marry into our family. No way. Candy's father was having none of it. Felix is responsible for Candy's pregnancy. If you don't take responsibility, we'll make a scene at your office until everyone knows. Candy's father's words made Felix's parents' faces darken. 20,000. That's a life you're talking about. 20,000 for a life? Felix's dad interrupted Candy's mom's protests. 50,000. This time they nodded hastily. Deal. Candy fainted on the hospital bed. She actually passed out. Unfortunately, even fainting wouldn't spare her from going under the knife. Exhausted, Felix's parents turned to my mom. When Candy loses the baby, let Felix marry Carrie, okay? My mom's eyes flickered. Depends on Felix's behavior. Don't worry, if Felix messes around, I'll break his legs. Felix's mom yanked Felix over. Felix absent-mindedly nodded, but kept glancing towards where Candy was taken. Without chatting much more with Felix's mom, my mom took me away. In the car, she asked as she drove, "What do you think about marrying Felix?" I couldn't care less about that jerk. Just thinking about Felix made me sick. Disgusted to the point of nausea. Cheating, cowardly, irresponsible, no redeeming qualities at all. I can't believe in my past life. I was so blind, fighting Candy over this piece of garbage. My words eased some of my mom's worries. So what do you want to do now? I want to call off the engagement with Felix. Dragging it out might hurt Felix and Candy more. But even thinking about being labeled as Felix's fiancé disgusts me. Mom, if Candy's baby gets aborted, won't Felix's family just continue to cling to us? I confided my concerns to my mom. She smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, leave it to me. Back home, Mom immediately called Felix's mom. Hey there, is Candy's baby gone yet? Not yet. The doctor said to check her condition once she wakes up before operating. I'm sure she's faking it. Yeah, anyone who can steal her sister's boyfriend. What kind of person could she be? Don't worry, at the crucial moment Felix isn't infertile. Felix and Carrie can have a whole bunch of kids when they marry. After hanging up, Mom turned to me. Before I could ask, she explained. Felix is an only child. His parents struggled a lot to have him. Word is, his dad's got issues in that department. So Felix's mom might think twice before sending Candy to surgery? My eyes lit up. Mom gave me a cheeky tap on the forehead. Smart girl. This way, Felix's family loses the nerve to bother us. And even if Candy has the kid, Felix's family won't accept her. Inspired, I looked at Mom in admiration. Mom, you're amazing. She hugged me, gently stroking my head. No one gets to bully my daughter. Feeling her warm embrace, I couldn't help but get emotional. She told me that in my last life too. How did I respond back then? I said, if you don't want me bullied, get Felix back for me. But Carrie, Felix isn't worth it. Whether it's worth it or not, I just like him. It's like I'm enchanted or something. My only wish is to break up Candy and Felix. My mom, unable to resist my stubbornness, went to talk to Felix's parents, but they just looked down on her. Well, of course. Felix treated me this way, and I still can't let go. Having a daughter, like me, must be why my mom gets looked down on. Carrie, what's wrong? Noticing my mood, my mom asked with concern. I buried myself in her arms and mumbled, Mom, I feel like Dad doesn't deserve to be my father. Just like he's never been close to me. There's always been something between my mom and Dad too. Usually, my mom's busy working while my dad spends her money everywhere. Thinking back, their relationship had issues ages ago. Mom just stuck it out for my sake. But now I see it clearly. I don't need a father who doesn't care about me. I want my mom to divorce him. But she didn't. She just held me tightly, and after a long pause sighed. I felt a little disappointed, but I can understand it. In my past life, my mom asked for a divorce a year later. After I was driven insane by Felix, Candy, and my dad. She wanted to leave with me. Right now my dad, other than protecting Candy, hasn't done anything unforgivable. As much as I want to get rid of him, I know some things can't be rushed. In the afternoon, my mom went out to prepare for my graduation party. I called all the maids together and ordered, throw Candy's stuff out. Yes, I had put up with Candy for a while because of my studies. From now on, I won't give anyone the chance to hurt me again. After all of Candy's things were thrown out, the maids cleaned my room and I moved back from the attic. In the evening, my mom came home first. Shortly after, my dad walked in. Seeing us, his usual arrogance was replaced with a bit of awkwardness. He went up to my mom, holding her hand. At the hospital today, I got a bit carried away. Don't be mad at me. Usually, even if he knew he was wrong, he wouldn't apologize. He must want something now. My mom pulled her hand away, looking indifferent. Seeing you like this, Candy didn't get rid of the baby? Exposed, my dad looked a bit embarrassed. Felix had a test, and he has some issues. It might be hard for him to have kids. This was kind of our only option. So, my mom stared straight at him. Faced with my mom's calmness, my dad's guilt turned to anger. It's Carrie's fault for not being charming enough for Felix. Since Candy is pregnant with his child, maybe she should marry him. My mom's stubborn too. She got mad right away. We don't need this marriage. But what do you mean by that? Carrie's not good enough for you? Is Candy the only one you like? Isn't she? My dad slammed the table and stood up, pointing at me. Look at her like I owe her millions. What's charming about that? Unlike Candy, who waits on me hand and foot. Shut up. My mom's chest heaved with anger. Worried for her health, I quickly stepped forward to calm her down. Mom, let's not be upset. It's fine if Dad doesn't care about me. I still have you. Seeing my concern, my mom took a deep breath, trying to calm her anger. She took my hand and led me upstairs. Upstairs, she looked at me. Your dad. She wanted to say something, but couldn't get it out. I squeezed her hand. Mom, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a dad. All my life, my dad's never cared for me, or been involved in my life at all. Never showed any affection, just annoyance. But with Candy, he was different. Around her, he seemed like a real dad. Sometimes I even felt. Thinking of my suspicion, I clenched my teeth. Like maybe Candy's his real daughter. And I'm just in the way. Carrie. My mom was startled by my words. I can assure you, you're your father's child. As for Candy, your dad is just selfish. He's always wanted my money to support his brothers. He thinks his family is just him and his brothers, and sees me as an outsider. And he treats you the same way. But Candy's definitely not his kid. Don't worry about that. If your dad won't love you, I'll love you extra. Hearing this, I nodded, dropping the issue. Instead, I asked, does Dad want Candy to marry Felix? Did Felix's parents accept her just because she's pregnant? If that's the case, then Candy got off too easy. Of course not, my mom assured me. I know Felix's parents well. They probably plan to let Candy have the baby quietly, and then make you and Felix raise it. Your dad wants me to talk to them about letting Candy marry into their family. But no way I'd be that dumb. With that argument earlier, your dad won't have the guts to bring it up. Hearing my mom, I couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. Mom, you're the best. You bet. My mom said proudly. Your graduation party is in 3 days. I'll text you the hotel address. For now, just relax and invite your friends. I'll handle everything else. On the party day, I'll officially announce the breakup of your engagement with Felix. Okay, Mom. Back in my room, I was still puzzled. My mom's skills are way more impressive than I thought. She's so smart, she figured out Candy isn't my dad's kid. Could I really have been wrong about this? I shook my head to clear my mind and put that thought aside for now. I grabbed my phone and started sending invites to a few close friends for my graduation party. When I was done, I thought about Ken. He was my classmate. But honestly, I barely remembered anything about him from high school. He always sat in the back row, and he was either asleep or on his phone during class. The teachers couldn't even bother to deal with him. He used to get into fights a lot, and his parents got called in frequently. Typical rebellious student. But since he was good-looking, his desk was always stuffed with love letters. He never touched them, just dumped them in the trash regularly. We barely had any interactions. But in both of my lives, he helped me out twice. After thinking it over for a bit, I decided to text him. Since we weren't close, I kept it polite. Hey, my graduation party is in 3 days. Would you like to come? Surprisingly, he replied quickly with just one word, sure. Regardless of whether my close friends did well or not, their graduation parties were all around this time. That day, I got ready to head out. Sitting on the couch, my dad gave me a once-over, and his eyes turned sharp. Carrie, what's up? I asked coolly. He frowned, clearly unhappy. Your cousin is still in the hospital recovering, and you're out partying? By that logic, since she's in the hospital, shouldn't you be there by her side instead of drinking tea at home? My retort darkened his expression. I was up all night. I'm just too tired today, he grumbled. Got it. I wasn't in the mood to argue, so I headed for the door. But he called out again. Make time to visit your cousin. I ignored his real intent, probably to manipulate me into listening to Candy's sob story, and left. After the party, on the way back, I had the driver take a detour to the hospital. When I got there, Candy was eating fruit that someone was feeding her. Candy's gonna marry into a rich family soon, it seems they were saying. What good is Carrie's schooling if she can't keep a man? When you marry Felix, make sure your uncle gives you a huge dowry. The three of them were plodding away happily. I made my entrance right on cue. Oh, but Aunt just called me. She specifically said Felix won't marry Candy. He'll send her back to the countryside once she has the baby. My words shocked everyone. Carrie, they started, as Candy's mom's smug look vanished, replaced by grief. You've always had it all. Candy's different. Can't you let her have Felix? Candy was crying. Please, Carrie, as your sister, she pleaded. Her dad was tougher. Even if you refuse to break off the engagement with Felix, your dad will find a way to make him marry Candy. If you don't step aside, it'll only embarrass you. The three of them played the good cop, bad cop routine. In my previous life, I would have blamed myself. Let you off. Wasn't it Candy who shamelessly seduced my fiancé and got pregnant? I snapped back. I must have the worst luck to get entangled with people like you. I glared at Candy. No matter what you do, I won't call off my engagement with Felix. You can go ahead and have the baby, but your child will call me Mom, and you'll always be in the shadows, just an aunt. That shut them up. As I turned to leave, a nurse accidentally broke a bowl. I'm sorry, I'm just clumsy, she apologized, picking up the ceramic pieces and cutting her hand in the process. I couldn't stand it. Let me help. I bent down to gather the pieces. When I stood up and glanced at her, I couldn't help but notice how much she resembled Candy. A spark of suspicion flickered in my mind. Sensing my gaze, she quickly looked away and said thank you. No problem. I patted her shoulder and subtly pulled a strand of hair from her head as I left. Outside the room, I ran into Felix. He was excited. Carrie, it's great that you don't mind Candy having my kid, and are even willing to be their mom. I'll make sure to treat you well. He must have overheard what I said earlier. I felt like such an idiot for not realizing before how worthless Felix was. And what about Candy? I asked, raising my voice. She can have a payout after the baby's born. He shrugged it off like it was nothing. Candy fainted inside the room again. Whether it was real or not, I didn't care. I looked at Felix unfazed. What I said was just to tick off Candy. The moment you hooked up with her, we were done. Make sure to tell your parents too. I want no connection with a family like yours. It's embarrassing. Ignoring his reaction, I walked away. The day before the graduation party, my mom and I came back after picking out dresses. We found Candy and her parents lounging on our couch, munching on sunflower seeds and watching TV. The villa was a mess, with sunflower seed shells and spilled tea everywhere. What are you doing here? I asked them. Candy's dad leaned back on the sofa. Carrie said something about family. Candy just got out of the hospital, so it's inconvenient for her to stay elsewhere. The housekeeper was just then carrying my things downstairs. I realized it was stuff from my room. Seeing me staring, Candy innocently said, Carrie, Uncle said I need a good environment to recuperate. So could you stay in the attic or a guest room? Unbelievable. Taking over my room without even telling me. I was furious and about to say something when my mom spoke up first. Security. Get this family out. You wouldn't dare. Do you know who I am? I'm the elder brother of the owner of this villa. If you dare lay a hand on us, you'll all be fired. They were full of bluster, but the security guards didn't pay them any mind. After all, the villa was a gift from my grandparents to my mom. The three of them, thrown out, sat at our villa's entrance cursing. I calmly said, keep shouting and I'll call the cops. I pulled out my phone. Just pressing 911 shut them up immediately. They got up from the ground, gathered their meager belongings and left. Candy, I called after her. What do you want? Candy's guard fell, and she looked at me with fear and hatred. Don't think about hurting my baby, she said, clutching her stomach. I laughed coldly. Just having a kid won't land you in the Felix family. They care about face. Only if everyone knows about your pregnancy will they possibly accept you. Why are you being so nice? Candy asked, looking touched. Not completely brainless, she soon realized, Carrie, you're doing this on purpose. You want the Felix family to be ruined too. Yes, I'm doing it on purpose. The opportunity is yours. Take it or leave it. After the family left, my dad came home. And he and my mom got into an unprecedented fight because of me, because of Candy. It started with Candy seducing Felix and spiraled from there. Dad thought that throughout the years, my mom had made more money and overshadowed him, making him feel small. My mom, apart from feeling sorry for me, was mostly hurt by my dad's coldness over the years. My usually composed and graceful mom finally broke down. You're just useless, chauvinistic. You don't protect your wife and child. You're heartless, oblivious. You're asking for it. Dad raised his hand to hit mom, but was intercepted by security, who held his hand back. Beat him senseless. The harder you hit, the bigger the bonus. My mom instructed. Horrible screams filled the living room. I'd wanted to do this for a long time. In the past, even if I only managed to get into a junior college, it wasn't like I couldn't make life work with hard effort. But it was him, Candy and Felix. Whatever job I found, they used influence to ruin it. My former miserable life, though partly my own fault, was mostly their relentless persecution. From the moment I was reborn, I wanted to beat him up. But actually doing it didn't satisfy me as much as I thought it would, because of my mom's pain. Mom, I approached gently, taking her hand. It's okay, she forced a smile. When Dad was beaten into silence, Mom told the security guards to stop. As much as I wanted to see him suffer, my mom squeezed my hand soothingly. Tomorrow is your graduation party. We don't want any more commotion. So I didn't say more. He was sent to the hospital, with someone posted to watch the room. That night, Mom's room stayed lit. I walked up to her room, not feeling easy, and saw her taking old photos of her and Dad, reminiscing briefly before tearing them up. I realized I'd only focused on Dad's faults, not on everything he and Mom had been through together. Mom noticed my arrival and waved me over. I moved closer, nestling against her. From above me, her voice came, filled with memories. Back then, when I decided to marry your dad, your grandparents disapproved. They said he had a poor background, not much capability, but I was fooled by his sweet words and insisted on marrying him. Turns out, I made the wrong choice. Mom, I said, everyone makes the wrong choices sometimes. It's just important to recognize them and fix them. Besides, I looked up, smiling. Without him, you wouldn't have such a smart daughter, would you? My playful words brought a smile to her face. She looked at me seriously. Carrie, if I divorce your dad, can you accept it? Yes. And would you choose to stay with me? Yes. This time, I answered with zero hesitation. My answer seemed to give my mom strength, and confidence returned to her face. After your graduation party tomorrow, I'll talk to him about a divorce. Okay, I agreed, holding her as we fell asleep. When her breathing steadied, I gently got up and found one of Dad's short hairs on the pillow, taking it out of the bedroom. Early the next morning, I made an excuse to go out, to the hospital where I got a sample of Candy's hair. I submitted her hair with Dad's and then Candy's, and the meal server Auntie's hairs for a paternity test. When I got back home, Mom and I headed to the hotel. Around noon, the guests started arriving. Dad, who was supposed to be resting in the hospital, forced himself up to attend my graduation party. I was a bit worried that he might cause a scene at my graduation party. But my mom reassured me, saying my dad is too vain for that. I relaxed a bit. Just like my mom predicted, my dad, who usually couldn't be bothered to even glance at me, was all smiles. The grin was so big, even the bandage on his face couldn't hide it. Your daughter is really successful. Oh yeah, just like me, he replied. Someone noticed his injuries and asked with concern, what happened to you? How did you get hurt like this? A shadow passed through his eyes, but he kept smiling brightly. Oh, I was so happy my daughter got into a top university. Celebrated a bit too much and ended up like this. Hearing that, my mom and I exchanged a glance, trying not to laugh. I have to say, he's pretty good at making up excuses. His ability to tell tall tales really came in handy. Guests came in waves. Finally, after my mom looked out anxiously, my grandparents arrived. They had been upset when my mom insisted on marrying my dad. Though they secretly supported her career over the years, we barely interacted openly. Every time Mom went to visit, they kept stern faces. But around me they were all smiles. I knew they were just using me as an excuse to show they cared about Mom, because they loved her through me. Dad, Mom, you're finally here, my mom sighed with relief. My grandparents entered with a smug expression. We wouldn't have come if we didn't worry that Carrie's party would be incomplete without us. Yes, let me take you inside, my mom said, helping them in. My classmates, Felix's family, and Candy's family all arrived. As it got closer to noon, almost all the guests were there. But I didn't see Ken. Suddenly, it hit me that I might have been a bit rash. I didn't even know how well Ken did on his exams, or which college he got into when I invited him. Just as I thought that, a familiar voice asked, where should I sit? I looked up and met Ken's beautiful eyes. I'll show you. A smile broke out on my face as I spoke. I took Ken to the table with my high school friends. When the girls there saw Ken, they blushed and fell silent. Carrie, you're amazing. Even our school's most untouchable guy came because of you. I just smiled, not saying anything. Our family company is quite large, and most of the guests at the party were business partners. I went around with my parents, toasting with everyone. When we got to the table with Felix's family, someone asked, why are your in-laws sitting with us? My mom smiled and replied, Carrie and Felix's engagement was called off. It was just a joke from years ago, nothing serious. Everyone there was smart enough not to question further. But Felix's parents weren't happy. They held back though. My mom wanted to give Felix's family a bit of dignity, but I didn't feel like it. There's no easy way out after doing something disgraceful. I looked at Candy, who was clutching her stomach, clearly torn over whether to reveal she's pregnant with Felix's baby. Whatever. I walked toward Felix, only to trip halfway and fall forward. Ahead of me was Candy. Just as I was about to crash into her, someone caught me by the waist and pulled me back. It was Ken. Thanks. I stood up straight, thanking him. Candy, still shaken, snapped. She stood up, pointing at me. Carrie, you're doing this on purpose. You hate that I'm having Felix's baby, and tried to hurt it. The room fell silent. Everyone pieced together that the reason Felix and I broke off the engagement was because he got involved with my cousin, and even had a baby on the way. The people at the party cared about their reputation, and many looked at Felix's family with disdain. His parents, who were all about appearances, immediately denied it. Candy, what nonsense are you spouting? Our Felix isn't someone you can just get involved with. Candy was fed up and said, if you're denying it, wait till the baby is born and do a paternity test. I'll rip that mouth of yours. As Felix's family and Candy's family were about to brawl again, my mom had security escort both families out. The place quieted down. The guests looked at me with sympathy. All of them except my dad. He glared at me like he wanted to eat me alive. After the party, the second we got home, my dad exploded. How could you and your mom be so cruel? Candy's already struggling without Felix's family's acknowledgement. Why push her to the edge? But isn't this just her getting what she deserves? Carrie, don't think I won't punish you. He stormed toward me. The security guard stepped in, forming a human shield around me. If you don't want another hospital stay, go ahead. I knew you weren't any good. Enough. My mom had it, cutting him off. Let's get a divorce. Divorce? You must be joking. My dad's voice was full of shock and contempt. It was clear he never thought my mom would divorce him, no matter how he treated us. Yes, divorce, my mom replied firmly. It took a moment for my dad to process. When he did, he sneered, fine, divorce. We'll split the assets equally. Why do you get half? What have you done for this family besides waste money? I objected. But my mom said, all right, I'll have the lawyer draft an agreement. All right, let's go with that. After my dad went upstairs, my mom looked at me and comforted me. Carrie, since you've decided on a divorce, the faster it's done, the better. Money can be earned again. Plus, he's still your dad. Giving him a bit of money isn't a big deal. My mom made a good point, so I kept quiet. Seeing she was okay, I told her I was going out to meet a classmate. But I actually went to the hospital. I hoped I was wrong. If so, I could let him have some assets so my mom wouldn't be too upset. At the hospital, I got the test results smoothly. When I opened the report and saw the result, I was so mad I could barely breathe. I was right. Candy is indeed the child of that lunch delivery lady. I immediately took the test results back to show my mom. At first, my mom was sad about this decades-long marriage, but when she found out my dad's affair resulted in a child 3 years older than me, she was consumed with anger. My mom, being who she is, wasn't blinded by rage, even when furious. She called my grandparents. She told them everything. My grandparents came over with my 3 uncles. While my dad was taking a nap, my uncles dragged him out of bed and beat him up. Already injured, he was left barely conscious. Then my eldest uncle placed divorce papers in front of him and told him to sign. When my dad saw the terms, which stated he'd leave with nothing, he refused to sign. My uncle sneered, think it over. If you don't sign, I'll report you for bigamy and have you thrown in jail. Not only that, I'll beat you every time I see you and make sure your family never rises again. Realizing the severity of Candy's secret being exposed, my dad, looking defeated, signed his name. And just like that, my parents were officially divorced. From that moment on, he was no longer my dad. He got tossed out of the villa like garbage. I was furious. If it weren't for Carrie, I'd have him locked up. My uncles were fuming. My mom, putting her sadness aside, comforted my grandparents and uncles. In the end, my grandparents, feeling sorry for my mom and me, insisted we stay with them for a while. At my grandparents' place, I felt warmth like never before. I was so comfortable there, I never wanted to leave. And my mom thought that villa brought bad luck, so she sold it on the cheap. With more than a month until the new semester at the prestigious university, my mom asked me, "What's your plan now?" "Mom, I want to intern at a company. Since we've dealt with the trash, it's time to focus on making money. I need to learn how to manage the company early to take over the family business." Hearing my answer, my mom smiled. That's exactly what I had in mind. She and I went shopping and bought some business attire. In my new clothes, with my hair tied up, I looked bold and confident. Nothing like the timid person I used to be. The next day, I went with my mom to the company. I witnessed firsthand as my mom issued commands to HR to fire everyone my father had placed in the company. Soon, her phone was blowing up in the CEO office. "Sister-in-law, we're family after all. What he did has nothing to do with me. My sister, I've cut ties with him. It's hard to find a job now. Could you please not fire me for old time's sake?" Faced with interest, the brotherhood my dad once prized crumbled. My mom, not wanting to waste any more time, blocked all of them. She left me with a company mentor, and I had a lot to learn every day. In my busy schedule, news about Felix and Candy's family reached me vividly. I wasn't looking for this info. Felix's scandals were just too widespread. Candy announced she was pregnant with Felix's child at my graduation party, causing Felix's parents to forbid him from seeing her. Still, either out of emotions or Candy's manipulations, Felix secretly kept seeing her. When Felix's mother found out, she was so furious she had to be hospitalized. Their group's shady behavior led to several major business deals falling apart, causing heavy losses. Watching the company's stock price drop daily, Felix's father was in a total mess. But that wasn't all. Candy had no idea she was an illegitimate child. When she found out that the lunch lady was her mom, she cursed them out shamelessly. In her rage, she lost the baby. With no baby, Candy lost her chance to marry into Felix's family. Her status at home plummeted. She stopped being arrogant and tried to win my dad back over. After all, he had money. Dad signed the divorce quickly because 1, he was scared of jail and my uncles, and 2, he had stashed away quite a bit of money. But someone like him, used to having everything, couldn't handle seeing his savings dwindle. Lured by the third uncle, he got hooked on gambling. In just a month he lost everything, hundreds of thousands gone. Without money, he couldn't find any support from Candy's family and got kicked out. My former neighbors mentioned they saw him searching for me and my mom at the villa. But it had been sold, so he found no one. Hearing people talk about their miserable situation again, I realized I didn't really care anymore. We live in 2 different worlds now. No matter how they end up, I'm going to keep pushing myself to be better. Name brand university. On the first day of class, Felix stopped me at the gate. Carrie, I've completely cut things off with Candy. We grew up together. Won't you forgive me this one time? The funny part was, I actually saw a hint of genuine emotion in Felix's eyes. Some people are like that. They don't appreciate what they get easily, and they pine for what they can't have. Sorry, no forgiveness. Even looking at Felix feels like a waste of my life now. I walked right past Felix and into the campus. A familiar figure caught my eye. It's Ken. He was holding his acceptance letter too. Seemed like he was waiting for me. When he saw me, he came over and asked, "Wanna check in together?" Sure. I nodded, and Ken and I walked in side by side. Letting go of the past, unafraid of the future. I will become the person I've always wanted to be. The end.